Record to the cloud. I love it. And then how do I share my screen from the iPad? Share content. Share screen. Start broadcast. All right, can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
How about now? Can you still see it?
I can.
All right. How about, can you see the contract?
Yes.
Mine says started sharing it, but it's not showing anything. So don't know what's up with that.
Huh. But Susie, you can see it. My Nancy A. Miniger.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. Well, Alicia, did you pay your internet bill this month?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Okay, what time is it? 11:36. I'm getting started. Susie, if you wouldn't mind paying attention, let me know if anybody else gets in the room, because it's really hard for me to see people in the room when I'm sharing my screen. So if you see somebody, just interrupt me, all right?
Okay, and just to let you know, I'll only be here for a little bit because I do have another appointment, but yeah.
How long you got?
I probably have to leave like at 11:50, maybe 11:55.
All right, 20 minutes. Let's see if I can do this. You ready?
Yes.
All right, today we are going to talk about Trek's most common mistakes when filling out the contract. I caught wind of this in one of my continuing education classes, and they never really discussed it. So I actually took it upon myself to read those couple chapters of the book and find out what was going on and how people are screwing this up. Because I know Susie, I'm glad Susie's here because she reviews all of our contracts. And these are the things that Trek is popping people for the most. Statistically, this is where people are screwing up. This is where they're getting sued, fined, license, all that kind of stuff. And what's so stupid about this is I was going through it. They're such easy fixes. So, and I got to be honest with you, I did not do this contract before. Like, I did this contract about 2 weeks ago. So it was before I started looking into all this stuff. And this is a contract on a house that I'm actually closing today. And I want to see how good of a job I did knowing all this. So I'm literally bearing all right now. We're going to have to find out how good it is. And I know one of these things in here I did wrong. So it's going to be kind of funny to point that out. So first and foremost, guys, the 1-to-4 family residential contract, they came out with a new one, as you can see here on 11/8 is the new contract. And they added a few things. And oddly enough, it's not those few things that are getting people in trouble. It's the oldies but goodies that people still aren't filling out correctly. So as we look at the 1-to-4 family contract, I'm going to go through this thing in the same order as they listed the number of problems that are in here. So first and foremost, guys, the first problem they have is that the parties to the contract tend to be incorrect. Most people do not fill these names in correctly. That is the number one biggest problem that Trek has, is literally section 1 of the contract, which is ridiculous, at least in my opinion. So one of the interesting things is I'm buying this through one of my companies, which is Dig Jam LLC. The nice thing is I filled this contract out, so I know the name of the LLC and I know who has signing authority. If you are putting a contract out there with an LLC or any kind of corporation buying, you need to make damn sure you got the right name of the company. And you also need to make sure you understand who all needs to sign. That is not the title company's responsibility. Yes, they will enforce that. But as the agent, you need to find out who all signing parties are. You can ask for their company documents that shows who's available to sign, because when it comes to signing at the bottom, you want to make sure you send into the title company all parties that need to sign. If you leave one of them short, that's on you. So for Dig Jam LLC, I actually own this with a friend of mine. So him and I both have to be signing parties. I know that. And if I send this contract in with only one person, like just myself signing it, it is not a valid contract. They can back out of that. They can do all that. So number one, they say, make sure you fill these names out correctly. Now here it says that the party is Nancy A. Miniger. So ladies and gentlemen, where I get this from is where I usually get it from is one place, and that's from the CAD. So we tend to go to bcad.org when I'm looking up properties, and I want to see what the CAD has it as, because that is going to be the most correct. You should, and as you can see, that's what I did here, is I went on the CAD and I saw that Nancy A. Miniger, I don't know how to say it. is the only person on the property according to Bexar County Appraisal District. The reason why I like looking here is because I know that when she bought the property, that the title company was looking it over, and that's as close as we can get. And I also noticed that it's only got her middle initial A. Trek likes to have the fullest name available. And this is all I had available. Now, I could have called the other agent. So Nancy Alice, I don't know what her middle name is, but I should have put that in there, especially here in San Antonio. We've got in the San Antonio, it's Texas generally, right? We have a very high Mexican population that comes here, and there are some very familiar names. Jose Martinez. If you just put Jose Martinez on here, you're going to get tied up in title forever because there's so many Jose Martinez's that they have to check against. So make sure you do your best to fill out the names. So, and again, also guys, look at the CAD. If it's Jonathan, whatever, don't put John. If it's Jonathan, Anderson Smith, then make sure you put in all of those things. So my best advice on this one is to check the CAD. That is probably going to be your most direct and or speak to the selling agent. I will say this, very, very seldomly in the MLS listing do I find the correct name. Very, very seldomly. A lot lately I've been seeing it says C broker. Some of them, they have incorrect spellings. So I always recommend starting with the CAD. And if you still have questions, to reach out beyond that. So the number one thing most people screw up, guys, is they just don't put the names on the contract correctly. That's too easy to do. Don't screw that one up. That's really easy. Second thing people do most incorrect is not filling in the property information correctly. That's this section right here. Now, I want to point out what I do, and this was some advice given to me by a title company a while back, is obviously it asks for the lot and block number. Again, you go to the CAD to find that information. Where's my CAD? Where did it go? Oops, dang it. Sorry, guys. Where is my CAD? How do I move that? There we go. Sorry, it's your pick. Can you see yourself in there, Susie?
Yes.
I can't figure. Anyways, so right over here, guys, the legal description is where I find block 3, lot 8. But I also, every time, I just copy and paste this, the entire legal description, into that third line right here on the contract. That was told to me by somebody at a title company a while back, and I've always practiced that. They said the more information you can give them, the better. So I didn't just put lot 8, block 3, and then NCB, which stands for New City Block, in case you're wondering, 16,268. I put the whole thing. Some of them, if you've been doing this long enough, you have seen some really strange property descriptions where it's like section 3 of such and such HOA, 17.628 acres over, it's just this big old long thing. Guys, give them as much information as humanly possible. This address does not mean anything to a title company. It only means something to EMS and the Postal Service, right? Everybody else wants to know the lot and block, but fill out every bit of this as clearly as you can. I didn't have to put Bexar County in here. I don't know what I was thinking, but that's what I did. So it looks like I got that one as correct as I possibly could. And so that's the next one. So the next part that they say is that we do not include, we leave everything, we leave out too many blanks. We're not filling in the blanks. Guys, you have to fill in every single blank on this contract because otherwise it's ambiguous. And it does get a little bit tricky because sometimes you don't know which ones to put in. So on this one, it says exclusions. Guys, those are things that do not transfer with the property. She was very specific. She wants her stove and she wants her spice rack. Fine. I'm not going to throw a fit about it since I'm the buying agent. I will say I did this very lazily. Since I'm the buyer and the buying agent, I did that what I would suggest there is when you say stove, you need to be very specific about the stove. It is a Maytag stove, serial number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it is. And then the spice rack, I'd give more description to that. Me personally, she can take everything out of that house. I don't really care. So it's not really bothering me, but I should have been more specific in this. If you have no exclusions, which 95% of transactions that I do have no exclusions, then you still need to fill in this blank. You need to put in the word none or not applicable or N/A. And you need to do that on every single line in the contract. If there is nothing to fill in here, see, I did this here too. The buyer shall deliver additional earnest money. I said it's not applicable. All the blanks I filled in on this contract. So I'm really proud of myself. And I did non-applicable on the option fee. Termination option. Again, I didn't pay an option fee, so I don't get an option. I want to make sure that all that is filled out. So every blank on this contract, again, right here, objections, residential use, how many days do I have? 5. You want to make sure that every single contract in here is filled out. Again, I didn't fill this one out because this box was checked. So that's fine there. Again, general partner of the purchasing company is a licensed agent. I had to fill that out. If you don't need to do a disclosure, just put none. Make sure that every part of this is filled out as best as you possibly can. If you don't have an answer, then put none. So another one is blanks. So don't fill in the wrong name, don't fill in the wrong address, and don't leave anything blank. Seems pretty straightforward, but again, they're finding people out the wazoo because they're doing this. If you don't know what to put, call me, call Eric, call Susie if you really don't know what you need to put in here. The next one is leaving check boxes blank. Now, I've got to be honest with you. I've got to do some research on this, guys. You cannot leave any checkbox blank unless something like this comes up. So this is a cash sale of $160,000. I don't have to check any of these. I could put non-applicable in here, and I probably should have to show that these 3 checkboxes don't mean anything. Again, here, the leases, this is the new part of the contract, and none of this applies, so I didn't check any of it. I'm not sure that's how Trek wants to do it, but that's how I did it. And as I'm reading through their text, I don't see any additional information on how I should handle something like that. Because obviously there's not a natural resource lease and there's no residential leases or anything like that. But I will say the one thing that I did not check that I'm going to figure out for you guys and get back to is the survey. I'm buying this house cash and I don't require a survey. So if I fill any of this out, the title company is going to come back to me and say, hey, we have to abide by this contract. And so somebody's going to get a survey. Well, she didn't have one. I don't want to buy one yet. I probably should just buy one because I'm going to need one to sell it. So I usually don't do that because I try to negotiate where they buy it because it's their bank that requires it, not mine for selling it. But for $600-800, I should probably just go ahead and buy one. So this is the only place where I violated that, and I have no idea how I'm supposed to correct it. I did not check any of these boxes, even though it's there. With that being said, if I've not checked any of the boxes in the survey, I have never had a title company tell me that I need to pick one of these boxes. They usually understand I'm not requiring a survey. Once again, guys, this is a cash transaction, so very seldomly are you going to see a survey, no required survey unless it is a cash transaction. And honestly, it's a little bit risky on my end because if they got a fence on the wrong line or something like that, I can inherit a problem. So it's probably wisest for me just to go ahead and say, I'm going to buy a contract, which would be section 2. If I know she doesn't have one, then I would check 2 here. Within whatever days, I shall obtain a new survey. The buyer shall, and I'm the buyer in this thing. Okay. Moving on, check all your boxes. All the boxes should be checked except for those first 2 on the 2 pages. Everything else below, guys, whether or not you're going to accept the property as is, should be checked. As we go down, there's a few more down here, and it's all of these check boxes, which is another one we're going to talk about in a minute. The next biggest problem that everybody does in Trek is they do not fill out this executed/effective date. This entire contract, ladies and gentlemen, is pivoting on that date. Now, unfortunately, you are not the person that the last person who signs should fill this out. And one more thing I want to point out, because I've caught a lot of agents saying this to me. It says, Colin, the broker must fill out the date of final acceptance. That's incorrect. It is correct, but you are in agency with your broker. That's one of the things we like. As soon as you sign up to work with a broker, you're an agency and you have certain rights and certain things that you can act on behalf of the broker for. You can tie them up with. And that is one of those things. So you have the right to put that in. Typically, the seller is the last person to sign. So when the last person signs, so right here, as you can see, I signed this contract. I don't know if you can see that on 6/26. This contract did not get executed until 6/28 because I sent it over to her. It took 2 days for her to decide she wanted it and sign it. And the lady on the other side of this transaction, I actually know her very well, and she's a broker and she's really good. So she filled that out correctly. So guys, if you do not put an effective date in this contract, it is on you. That is your fault. It is not the title company's job to do that. Some title companies will do that. They will call you and they'll say, hey, Colin, I noticed you didn't execute the contract. Do you want me to execute it for you? That's fine, but it's not right. You are breaking the rules there. The last party, the broker, needs to fill it out, and you are an agent of the broker. So therefore, you need to fill this out. Do not expect the title company to do that. That is on you, because if this effective date is not correct, it throws off your option periods, your inspection time periods, your financing periods. It throws everything off. So that is extremely, extremely important. Do not skip that step. Next, what they say, oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble here. Oh, I did a little bit. Okay. Is this section right here, notices. So if you notice, guys, I filled out my side of the information. That is how you get a hold of my company. That's how you email us. That is my phone number. If anybody needs to get a hold of us, that's how you do it. I did not fill this out because I do not know the seller's mailing address. I do not know the seller's phone number, and I do not know the seller's email address. So guys, the other realtor did fill in her email address, but she should have put in her address, phone number, and if applicable, fax number. Because this is not so much so I can call her. You know as well as I do that we're not allowed to talk to the other party if they're represented. You have to talk to their agent. So I should have corrected her on this one. And the reason this is because of the title company. If anything comes up, this contract states how to let them know. If you can't let them know in a timely fashion, then it's your fault. You know, if we can't contact them, letting them know they owe money in taxes or whatever it might be, it's going to fall on you for not filling out the contract correctly. Uh-oh, that's Teresa calling about closing on that property. We'll have to call her back. Okay. Next up. So not filling in those information, guys, you got to fill it in. I know it sucks and I know it's lazy. I hate filling in the last 3 pages of this contract because I hate doing all of this. I hate doing all of this, but you got to do it, guys. You got to look it up, take the time. I know it's the frustrating part, but you have to. All right, next one. Now we're getting a little more technical. I like this. Section 5. What are we on? Item number 6 or 7, whatever it is. Section 5 on the contract is typically filled out incorrectly now. They did change this. It used to be where the option fee was in a separate paragraph, and then you paid it directly to the seller. Now you can pay it directly to the insurance company, and it's all tied up in here. Ladies and gentlemen, you have got to fill in all of the blanks. If you just fill in all the blanks, you're not going to skip this step. So again, option fees, guys, if I wanted $100 for 10 days, that's where I would have put it. Sorry, I would have put 10 days down here. So if you notice, guys, I'm giving $1,600 as earnest money and $0 as the option fee. Those are the 2 different fees, guys. Typically, you can put whatever you want. Earnest money is 1% or better. And option fees range from anywhere from $10 a day to $100 a day I've seen lately. So you got to fill both of those out. Once you fill out this option fee amount, you have to come down to section B to state how many days you're buying. So if I put $100 here, I could put 1,000 days down here. I could put 2 days. Whatever it is, you have to fill out. This and this are connected, guys. You got to fill those out. This second one is the buyer shall deliver additional earnest money. $1,600 is all the earnest money I'm giving you. I don't need to put 16 and 16. This is a separate transaction. So sometimes, you know, after my option fee's up, I really want it. I'm going to give you another $5,000 to really show you I want it. Sometimes people like to see that. This is actually very applicable in commercial contracts. For some reason, there's always all these days that we just add more and more earnest money until we get to the end. So hopefully that makes sense. Susie, does that make sense on this new way they've reformatted this? Can I explain that well? I feel like I'm talking a lot.
Yeah, no, it's perfect.
Wonderful. So that's the next one. And the last 2, look at this. I'm going to get you out of here on time. The last 2 are required, filling out your required addenda. Guys, it's this section right here. I love that they put all this in here because it reminds me, it jogs my memory. Do I need a third-party financing addendum? Am I doing seller financing? Am I doing whatever? This house was built before 19 whatever. So I do have the information about lead paint. That is in here. Guys, if there's any other addenda that you add, you have to click other and name it here. The title company is not going to know to look for this additional information, the addendums, the amendments, or these are just be addendums here, but they're not going to know to look for it unless you put a list on here. So make sure that you are filling out this part here and not just sending it in. If it's not listed here, you've got to put it as other. It's super quick. It's super easy. And guys, I use this all the time as just to jog my memory to remember, hey, I need to fill this out. The big ones over here, guys, especially if you do a lot of residential, is the Mandatory Property Owners Association, the lead-based sellers, that's another big one, and third-party financing addendum. Those are the three I feel like I use all the time. Oh, and this one, addendum concerning the right to terminate. That's mostly for conventional financing if it doesn't appraise. And last but not least, because I know Susie's got to go, is make sure you get all required signatures. Ladies and gentlemen, a signature. So as I told you, I knew who had to sign this. Both Colin and Lon signed this house to go buy it together. They're both members of Dig Jam. They're the two general partners. I happen to know this. It also shows that the house is owned by one lady, so I only need one signature on this side. If she was married or if Lon did not sign his side of the contract, this contract is null and void. It does not work. I don't care if you put an executed date. I don't care if you send your money to the title company. It does not matter. Because what I'm effectively doing is I'm making, like, let's say Lon, and this one, two people needed to sign this side. If I signed it and Lon never did, and I started this whole contract, I cannot legally oblige somebody to a contract if their name's not on the contract. So because Lon and I share that business together, he has to sign on every single document we do. So make sure you know that, guys. There's so many times. This is the biggest find issue that happens, because you'll get 3/4 of a way through. Let's say I tie this contract up. I signed it. I sent in the money. I do all that kind of stuff. Lon finds out later that he's like, I never agreed to buy that property. And so he gets mad at me because I'm the agent. He turns me into Trek. Trek's like, oh, you tried to buy a property, put him on the hook, and you never told him? Yeah, I'm in trouble. I'm in a lot of trouble. That's a big fine, possibly a lot of legalese after that, because now I lost my $1,600 earnest money because she's under no obligation to give it back because I screwed up. So now I got to pay back the money. I got to do all this stuff. So ladies and gentlemen, be careful. Make sure you know everybody that's supposed to sign when you do these contracts. And it's easy. So guys, to me, here's what it is. Fill in all the blanks. Make sure you checked all the boxes you need. Make damn sure you got the right name and address, and make sure everybody signs and that you execute it. I can't believe that those are the things that Trek is having problems with, because to me, it's so rudimentary. It's the base of what we do, and we're skipping steps because we're in a hurry and it's a hot market. Guys, do not be one of those people that get in trouble because you were in a hurry and you did something just to cut a corner because, oh, I can't find Lon right now. It's going to take me too long. I'm just going to send it in. That's how you get in trouble, guys. That's how you get in a lot of trouble. So questions, comments, concerns, that's it. Those are the big things that Trek wants you to fix on the contract. So fix them.
I have a question.
Go for it.
So my first question is, I am typically the listing agent, and lots of times it's my house. And they always skip seeing in the MLS that you have to fill out that the seller is a licensed agent in the state of Texas. And I don't know, I don't know how many times, the agent has turned in their offer. We like the offer. And I say, hey, will you please go back and fill this in? One of the owners of this LLC is a licensed agent in the state of Texas. And they're like, can you just fill that in for me? But then their client hasn't seen it. And
that's correct.
Right. I can't fill this out unless your client initials, and I send it back to them and they never initial it. And I don't have any power to change that. So I technically have an invalid contract. But, what do you do? Do I have to get nasty and call their broker and say, hey, they need to initial this one line?
I wouldn't sign it. You could either just not sign it. Just say, hey, I'm sorry. I would love to sign this offer. However, I need you to change Section 8. And you're going to end up being the bad guy. Oh, are you serious? You do not? It's like, yeah, because I'm not screwing with it. And blame me. Just say, hey, Colin, blame Susie, blame Eric. Who cares? Just say they are savages about this. And we need to be extremely strict with this because we allow so many investors in here. And with so many investors, if we have one little slip up on this, they're going to come down on us. Like they're going to come down on White Line, not just you, but on us with a ton of bricks. So I would just be an ass about it. I'd be like, I'm sorry. I like everything except Section 8. Oh, if you'll just fill it out, we'll sign it. Great. I'll fill it out. I'll send it back over to initial, then send it back to me for signatures.
Right.
Just do not sign it until it is filled out and initialed. But it's very keen that you're catching that, Alicia, because I can't tell you how many people do that. There's so many people that do that exact thing that you're talking about. And I've been lazy about it too. I got to be honest, but you go to these trainings, they scare the crap out of you. Luckily, I've never cross-trekked the wrong way, and I don't intend to because like I've said it 100 times, Trek is not here to protect the realtors. Trek is here to protect the general public. So if anything is wrong, they're going to assume you were smart enough to figure it out.
Yeah.
So don't bank on Trek going, oh, yeah, we see. It was just a little oversight. They're going to be like, oh, you're an investor and you're licensed and you didn't do this. Oh, you're the devil. You're trying to take advantage of people. And then they're going to pop you with a fine and it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
I'd rather some other realtor not like me.
We have the contract set up as a template in Dotloop. And I recently had a transaction where there were actually 4 buyers. It was a married couple and then his parents. And you can't add a signature block. Is there any way to get that fixed in Dotloop so that I can add more signatures and initials? Because if you're using a template, they don't allow you to add an extra anything.
Yeah, let me show you. I think you can. So I'm going to back up real quick. And I think you can in here. Is there something? Let's say Blossom Blend. This is one I filled out for an investor client and it all fell apart. So if we go all the way down to the bottom here, I think what you can do, so you've got signature, I would add a signature line.
Right.
Come on. I don't know why it's not letting me do it right now.
It won't.
But you should. There you go. And then you just assign the field. And then you were going to add, and then I'd add like a text line, whatever it is, and you sign it to whoever you need to sign it to. Now, to get the additional names on the contract up here, I would just put them in here. One, you know what I mean? I might do commas or colons or whatever it is like that to add all those in, but you can add the additional signature lines. The other option would be C Exhibit A. Or C Exhibit B or C Exhibit C, or just name something and then on another piece of paper, title the piece of paper Exhibit C, and then put buyers to the contract R or sellers R and just list them all out.
Okay, yeah, I don't have any problem there, but doing the initials at the bottom, and it would not let me add a signature at the end for whatever reason. So
yeah, you should be able to add signatures here.
See if you can add
if not. Yeah, well, and then the initials, it should allow you to do too. So what I would do is I'd add initials and I'd click it, right? You know what I mean? And I would just assign that to whomever it was. You should be able to assign initials as well. I think that one you just got to play with a little bit. Yeah, it is kind of a pain, but
I don't mind doing that, but it just wouldn't let me. So
no, it's a good question. But yeah, I think that's a good question. What else you got?
That's it.
It's beautiful. So here's my takeaway. Here's my parting things. Don't be lazy. Fill out everything you can in the contract. If you don't know how to fill it out, either put none, not applicable, except for those few at the beginning when it came to the leases and stuff like that. I could leave those blank. I think those are okay. So, well, wonderful. Go out and sell something. I'm going to go eat lunch. I'm hungry. For those of y'all watching this, don't forget, Susie, what day is it? The 16th? What day are we doing that? Oh, I got to remember. I think Susie froze. Yes, the 16th, 9 o'clock. We got the mastermind down at the Rise. And afterwards at 11 o'clock, 11:30-ish, whenever we get done, Susie's cooking for us. We got a little meet and greet with everybody. So get down there. Come see us. It's going to be fun. I'm going to send out another email about this just to remind everybody. But other than that, guys, you have a wonderful day. I will talk to you all later and go sell some. Let's have some fun this week. Bye.